Anyway, so welcome to tonight's live video chat. We are Chris and Cherie.
I'm Chris.
I'm Cherie. And
we're Technomadia.
Technomadia. We blog at technomadia.com about our life on the road and share a bit. And we started doing these video chats over a year ago now.
Yeah, it's been over a year.
Just was kind of a fun last-minute way to interact with our readers, and we've just really enjoyed doing these chats. They've become kind of fun for us to do.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us an opportunity to take your questions and answer and address some of the topics that we get asked about all the time without us having to sit down and write a blog post, which these blog posts can take 40, 60 hours to write sometimes. So this allows us a way to interact with you, and we really do love it. And we thank you for wasting your bandwidth to join us.
Oh, and before we dive into the topic of the night, we should mention the momentous date that this is.
Yes, today is a big day for us. Very big day for us. We didn't actually plan it this way to do the video chat and have it be our big day. But the Mobile Internet Handbook is officially launched today. That is the book that we have been working on all summer long.
Mm-hmm. Big project. It turned into 186 pages. Started off as a tiny little update to last year's book.
Yes, last year's
book.
Thanks
to a pre-sale campaign and a lot of interest and enthusiasm. We, instead of just updating last year's book, we rewrote it from scratch and more than doubled it in size, adding tons and tons of topics.
So this is last year's book. It was 87 pages long. It was basically a glorified extended blog post.
Yes.
And it was a handbook. We just wanted to create a little book to help people out with the mobile internet stuff, which we get asked about all the time. And this year, a lot of you probably are our funders. We appreciate that so much. We did a crowdfunding campaign back in May to raise money to actually hire professional editors and graphic designers to actually make a really professional-looking book, and we invested a lot of our time over the summer.
Tons of research, tons of rewriting.
It is 186 pages. Actually printed, it's going to be 234 pages printed.
Right, so that's actually, I guess, the real comparison is print version versus print version.
So I'm expecting the new one to be much thicker.
It's more of the mobile internet almanac now.
But anyway, it is now available in iBooks, Kindle, and PDF format. You can get it at RVmobileinternet.com, which is our brand new mobile internet resource center, which will also be keeping articles, archives of news feeds. We'll be tracking industry news on our mobile internet, and we hope you'll join us there and get a copy of the book and help us spread the word.
That's our big news, and thank you for being here to help us celebrate.
Yes. So tonight's video chat is on caravanning with RVing friends. And this is something that we have really, really enjoyed. Peace sign, yes. We have really, really enjoyed doing caravanning with friends over the years. It is a fabulous way for us to have community on the road, share experiences with other people, have temporary neighbors at multiple locations.
So what's a caravan?
So a caravan is when you travel with other RVers. So it might be maybe one or two stops. Maybe you start in Memphis and go to St. Louis next. Maybe it's joint. There's also formal ones. There's informal ones where you just go with friends and you kind of plan out some stops you want to do together and explore together. Maybe you're already going on the same path. You just decide to merge your dates together.
Okay.
There's also formal ones.
Formal ones. That's where you sign up and you are, you have a what do they call, wagon master is usually the term for, and there might be a tail gunner, and some various RV groups do group ones. So the escapees, a lot of the groups, there's like a caravan that goes to Mexico every year. That is one of the escapee subgroups puts on, and they do, apparently, rumor has it, a really good job. But it is very organized and structured. Like you rally up at 8 a.m. Hitch up the wagons to your toads or whatever. Hitch up your RVs to your toads, and the wagon master says go. The tail gunner gets in the back. Everybody's talking about a CB. You got a destination. And
you're usually going in smaller groups, bumper to bumper. You are signed up for a departure time. You better be ready to leave at whatever 8 a.m., 9 a.m., whatever it is. You better be set for doing the number of miles that the group is doing. So if they're doing 300-mile days, you're doing 300-mile days.
And you can't say, oh, that's pretty, I'm going to go make a left turn. Because sometimes it's really nice to make a left turn. But if you're on an organized caravan like that, you're signed up. And then a step up from that
and you're paying to do this.
Well, some of the volunteer ones are more of like, you might be paying a rally fee or a caravan fee, but they're fairly affordable because it's mostly volunteers. The wagon master and the tail gunner and everybody else are all just people like you who maybe have done it 2 or 3 times before and have volunteered for that position. Then there are the professional caravans, which are more like guided tour groups.
Like Adventure Caravans, I think it's a popular company.
Adventure Caravans is, and that's where you have the leaders are paid professional staff. Their job is to take care of everybody else in the caravan. They have a set itinerary. They'll often...
Right, but the advantage of the paid ones or these organized ones is they have scouted out ahead. They've got the RV parks already booked for you. You don't have to worry about booking your RV spaces. They've got tours planned for you, so when you get into a spot, you know what museums you're going to, what routes you're going on, whatever you're exploring is already pre-planned out for you.
That is both the upside and the downside of these rigid caravans.
Right. Downside for them, especially for those of us that are not retired or on an extended vacation or gap year, is we have work to integrate into. So our flexibility to move at the pace of an organized caravan may not actually mesh with reality. So, if we wanted to go, if we need to work 4 or 5 hours a day on a project, or 18 hours a day to write a book, joining an organized caravan isn't all that appealing to us.
Unless we're treating it as a vacation.
Yeah, because basically it involves us taking a vacation. So we're taking a vacation in our home, which is fun. Which could be fun, and we might actually experience one someday. I'm not opposed to the idea.
But we have not done an organized caravan like
So that's not what we're talking about this evening. Just know that option is out there, is doing an organized professional caravan or a more organized volunteer one. What we're talking about is joining up with RVing friends on the road and traveling together. Mm-hmm. And there's great benefits to it. There's shared meals. There's sharing the research of where you're going, the routes you take, the places you're going, the things to do and see along the way.
It's just really nice to be able to swap the stories of what's new, like the day's adventure, as opposed to when you come together with friends as an RVer, you're often having to fill in on the entire past year. So when you're traveling with somebody, you're able to process, like, did you see this thing today? And what do you want to do tomorrow? And it changes the tone of the conversation to be more in the moment.
That's right. It reminds me a lot more of like when I lived in stationary and had friends locally. When we got together for dinner, we just caught up on what happened since the last time we got together. And I had a group of friends. We'd get together every couple of weeks, maybe weekly, and we would be able to just talk about, what happened at work today, and how's our mutual friend doing, and what did you do today? What's been exciting, and sharing those sorts of things. The more the day-to-day life. So we really, really enjoyed doing that with friends. We've done lots of caravanning with friends over the years, and it's been just a great way to expand friendships, have a sense of community on the road, and
still get to be on the road.
Still just and doing it our way. So we've learned a lot about doing this in ways that make it so that we're not compromising our travel style or feeling like we're keeping someone else's travel style back, because that is one of the balances that you have to do. So when you're caravanning with somebody else.
So the informal way, one thing we like is you can plan kind of like, okay, we're hitting the road tomorrow. We're gonna go and follow them to one place to another, and it's kind of nice to be on the road together. But actually, it's often a lot nicer just to show up at the same place and play hopscotch. So one person might go on ahead a day or 2 or 3 even sometimes, and they've already staked out hey, this is a great place to camp. I've actually already talked to the manager. I've got a spot right next door, and so you come along and you know exactly where you're going, and you've got people waiting for you, and then maybe you're the first one to leave to go to the next stop. And so you no longer feel constrained by somebody else's schedule.
So we just came off a caravan, or we're in the middle of a caravan. It's kind of hard to say.
We'll see them again.
Yes, because we're going to be seeing them again probably in a few weeks. Forrest and Mary, some friends we met a couple years ago. Some of you may know them. So we were both up in Montana back in early August, and we've been kind of planning to... they're going west.
Well, actually... Kind of first but it's been an off and on caravan since...
Florida.
Well, true.
Right, we wintered in Cedar Key together.
Okay. Very hopscotchy.
We did a rally together in Georgia. We did a rally together in Indiana. We actually caravaned through Indiana together. This was now April,
we did some harvest hosts
May.
together.
We did some caravanning around Indiana together, and then they had some commitments in like I think Tennessee that they had to go to, and we went up into Michigan over the summer and took care of writing our book and doing our own thing, and then we kind of kept tabs on each other over the summer and said, hey, they were going to Glacier National Park. We were kind of thinking we might make it there, and we decided that was just too much of a pace for us.
We said kind of hey, we'll meet you in Glacier. And, well, we were headed that way, and they were kind of done with Glacier, and we were not really running to go up there. And we're like, well, maybe our paths will cross, and it ended up in Idaho.
Right. So I think we're leaving Billings in mid-August. They were leaving Glacier. They were done with their adventure there, and they wanted to head west. We are on our way out to Cape Blanco Lighthouse. We'll be volunteering for 2 months as lighthouse hosts, and we decided to team up together. So we picked a city. I think we kind of eyed Idaho Falls as being a potential rendezvous spot. We found a campground, went there, said, yeah, we really like it here. Yes, there's spots available, and they came down and joined us, and they came down, joined us, and we both liked the campground and stayed there for 4 nights and kind of just plotted out what the next couple weeks might look like hopscotching together.
Yeah. And then, sometimes doing things together. We did the museum together, saw the guy who invented television inspired by Idaho cornfields, but then did plenty of other things separately, which is really nice.
We were still working on the book, and they're retired, so they have a lot more time to go out sightseeing and doing other things. And we would check in with each other on what we were up to. There was always a sense of an open invite to join up if we wanted to, but there was no obligation to have to do everything together. Perfect caravan buddies for us. And they wanted to see craters of the moon. I don't think we had
wasn't really on our radar.
But it was like, well, that's west. That keeps our trajectory. So we kind of...
When we researched, I was like, hey, if we're going to go that way, we're going to go past Idaho National Labs, and the world's first nuclear power plant is there, which, as an engineering geek, I had to go see it.
And they hadn't heard of it, but they loved the idea. So we just kind of, put together. We just kind of collaborated on where we'd go next. I think we got to there, and the next stop was going to be Boise. We had an appointment with Wi-Fi Ranger because they're headquartered in the Boise area, and had been invited to stay with them. And Forrest and Mary were ready to plug into
we did some boondocking. Reservoir.
That's right, we did some boondocking.
And they had never boondocked before, and we were eager to do some to test out our solar panels and do some further solar experimentation. And so we got to, one of the nice things about caravanning is you get to
experience new ways,
things that you wouldn't do otherwise on your own. So for them, it was like, they weren't comfortable going off and doing a boondocking experience.
They weren't comfortable going down and exploring a dirt road and hoping that it goes somewhere that you can turn around and get out of.
And we were like, no, follow us. We won't lead you astray.
So we both went out boondocking for a couple nights, and we're more electrically independent right now than they are. So they stayed out 2 nights. We stayed out 3 nights. They moved ahead to Boise, and they wanted to be plugged in at an RV park and charged up after the boondocking experience. We were comfortable going right into driveway surfing, basically, at Wi-Fi Ranger.
Headquarters, yeah.
And so we were in the same city. And
we never saw each other.
I don't think we saw each other.
They saw us as they drove by on their way to Camping World.
Yeah.
We never saw them.
But we're in the same city, and then we planned our next stop together, which was at a hot springs in Oregon, which was delightful. And they went out. They're early risers. They get started earlier in the morning than we do, so they went out there, got settled, and we joined up later in the afternoon. And then it just worked out really great. We call it the hopscotch way of caravanning. So we're not
very informal.
It's informal. It's there's no grudges if you decide to go different ways, do different stops, and it's just generally each RVer is outlining what their potential stops are ahead and what they want to do. And you're just seeing where the potential rendezvous spots are. And just kind of just like, hey, there's just openness to sharing the experience together. We don't have to do everything together. We've done this now with several other RVers over the years. We did this up with the Winds when we were in Michigan. We hopscotched in Michigan together.
Absolutely fabulous. We went casino camping together. Got to experience new things for both of us. And
yeah, and we were working. They were on different work schedules, so they went ahead and did some more exploring around while we worked, and we would stay stationary for a few more days than they would. And it's just caravanning. We really, really enjoyed that style.
Continuity of connection.
Yeah, the continuity of connection and seeing people multiple times on the road in different locations and sharing a bit of the experience. But we also like our alone time. And we like being on our own and not being, even feeling the pressure of someone else's desires and schedules. So we've found the hopscotch way of caravanning with friends to be an ideal balance for us to get the best of both worlds. So everyone's feeling on their own schedule, but
you're staying in sync.
But you're staying in sync, yeah. So that's our big tip and trick for doing caravanning as a couple.
And some particular tools we find useful. A lot of our friends have other Apple gear, so we use the Friend Finder to know physically where they are, which just makes a lot of the back and forth communication of, hey, where are you at, where are you headed, what city are you in, what's your ETA, go away. There's other tools that are cross-platform. Glimpse is one we've used in the past too, GLYMPSE. Right. It's just that particularly if you're caravanning with somebody, getting that communication back and forth of where are you, making it automatic is very, very useful. We do instant messaging or SMS with each other to check in. Say, hey, we just got into Boise, and they were able to, just check in and say, we're here, this is great, the campground's great, there's room for you, and that sort of stuff. And there were times with some of these other couples that we actually did drive at the same time, we left at the same time, and generally arrived at the same time. And in those cases, we would use our CB radios. We used the CB.
We used our CB radios to keep in touch.
Text messaging sometimes.
Yeah, it was actually a lot easier, we found, because of all the sounds in the RV while you're underway and the other interferences. We actually found it was easier for the passengers, the co-pilots, to keep in touch on text messaging with each other. As opposed to the conversations.
Can you hear me now? I didn't get that. Could you repeat that? Oh, back, forth. Oh, you wanted to pull over back there. Oh, sorry. Okay. The next stop. That's good. Yeah, next stop.
So then we would also, when we would be at locations together and kind of planning what our next stop might be, we'd just all get together in the evening. We'd bring our iPads and tablets and other devices together with our maps, and we would each have done a little of our own research ahead, and we would just compare notes and just come up with a game plan. Sometimes, like Forrest and Mary had the idea they wanted to go to the Craters of the Moon. Well, I went and researched what the local camping options might be and what might work best for everybody. And then Forrest actually then made the call, made the reservations for us all.
You can divvy up that work. Particularly the calling around for reservations and availability is, it's easier if one person does it because you're coming in as a group. And this kind of style of caravanning can work for 3, 4, 5. It starts to get trickier the more cats you're herding,
because that's what us nomads are. We're cats. We're all out here because we tend to buck the conventions. We're not ones to just follow the leader all the time. Although it's sometimes nice to follow the leader and not have to plan things out. But most of us are very independent-minded. We like doing our own thing. But I'm also community-minded. I like the benefits of being with community and friends. So we found this style to work really well, and
it's really nice if somebody else who's researched a place. It's
and that they're passionate about. I get inspired by people's passions. It's much more exciting for me to go see someplace.
Museums are much more fun as a group because everybody's throwing in their bits and pieces and inputs and trivia and stuff. The more people doing that sort of thing together, the more I get out of it always.
Right. We've kind of thought about we'd love to kind of get a slightly larger caravan together, where it's not really a caravan, it's more of a mobile
rally.
Or mobile convergence, where we kind of set out where, these are the general stops we're going to be making along the way. We're going to be here from this date to this date, and if you want to join up at any of the points, so we'd like to do that at some point. And we've had this dream for quite a while. The problem is we don't like to plan, and that requires planning, and it becomes work. So I don't know that it'll ever happen, but we love it when it happens organically, like it did with recently in the last over the summer. We've
had 3 or 4 different informal caravans over the summer, which has just been fabulous.
It's been
multi-stop visits with people.
Really a lot of fun. So anyway, that's about all we had prepared on talking about caravanning.
That's caravanning. What's the caravansary?
Oh, yes, there's also the caravansary going on for those of you Burning Man folks who are missing the playa right now, like we kind of are.
We'll be a little homesick, but also, we're in the right place right now. But caravansary, for those who are not tuned in, that is the art theme for this year's Burning Man. And a caravansary is a caravan stop. It's the old word for a caravan stop along the old Silk Road. So there's a very nomadic art theme going on in the desert that we're missing right now. But if you flip over like 1 or 2 Ustream channels away, the Ustream has a live stream from Burning Man, so you can get a tiny little taste of what it's like if you want to either feel homesick or just satisfy some of your curiosity if you've not been before.
All right, so we're going to open this up now to questions and answers, and those can be, you can ask questions about RVing, about working on the road. It can be about caravans if you want, community on the road, whatever you have questions for. And you're welcome to ask any questions you have of us, and we'll address them. We'll stick around for a few more minutes and answer those. So go ahead and get those questions going. If you haven't found it, there's a chat box. If you're doing this on our Technomadia site, there's a chat box over to the right-hand side. Just click over to the chat, and then you can ask questions. Someone's asked, it sounds like our village feature for our caravan groups. There actually are a couple caravan groups created on our village.
And it's also, you can have private groups on our village, so you can create an informal group for people that you like to rendezvous with on the road, and then via our village's map features,
see where they're at.
You can see where they're at, and you're like, oh, message them, hey, you're in Idaho, and we're coming across in Idaho, and in your little future plans box on our village profile, you said that you're heading up to Washington. Well, hey, we're heading to Washington too. Shall we rendezvous? And they might, delete your profile and block you or something, but more often than not, they'll be like, hey, cool, let's go hopscotching. So, yeah, it's a really great tool to have private groups and also the ability to message and see people in maps.
Right, and one of the future features of our village, and one of the things that we got really excited about when we got involved with it, was the ability to put in your future plans.
Yes.
And that's coming. That was a feature
There's a text box now, but it's not.
It was actually where you could put it on the map and actually show where you're going, and then you could see potential convergence points with other people and your friends and things like that. And that's a feature that I know that Curtis, the owner of our village, is still excited about. So I'm hoping that that comes back once the development cycle catches up. Someone asked, what do we do the RV gatherings like Quartzsite, Good Sam, and other gatherings?
We've done this year. We've done the FMCA's, 2 different FMCA rallies and an Escapees rally. Those are
our first ever big national rallies that we've ever done.
And our rally people, we did 3 this year.
Yes, we ended up doing 3, mainly because we were caravanning with Forrest to Mary, and they like
their fault. They're rally people.
They're rally people, so they got us going to some rallies, and it turned out really good. We had a really enjoyable time.
And it's good to do rallies with people who've done them before.
Right.
Thank you for your guides.
So we definitely enjoyed the Escapade, which is the Escapees rally. We really loved the vibe of the Escapees, and we're kind of tentatively planning to head to the one in Tucson in March. We've not done a Good Sam. We've not ever been to Quartzsite during the winter.
Which might happen this winter, because it might potentially be that direction.
Yeah, we're thinking we might try wintering in the Southwest this year for the first time ever. And that we'll definitely be stopping in to check out Quartzsite and see what that's all about. So, what is the proper etiquette to meet people on the road?
Don't run over them.
Yeah, running over them is really bad. One thing we loved about our village, and that's ourvillage.com, is that it takes that etiquette part away. Is when the membership grows to be large enough, the idea is that when you check into an RV park when you arrive, is that you're going to have enough villagers around you that you can go and see who else has checked into the park and see what you have in common, and you just drop a message to them and say, hey, you want to have happy hour today, or maybe you book a meetup, a campfire circle, or something like that. For us, as an introvert, I'm not one who's going to go and just meet people in an RV park, but extroverts probably are much more keen to.
Right.
Good etiquette, don't go knocking on doors.
Yes, wave, say hi when people are outside. Maybe if you really feel no other way, leave a note on their door. But particularly if it's before noon, don't knock on a door.
We have had people come up to our doors in RV parks, and they knock on the door, and they, expect tours of our bus. Maybe they're fans, maybe they're strangers, or they just like that our RV is weird looking. So that's not cool.
Our number one etiquette tip is give people their private space at a campground, and drop them an email if you can find out who they are. Drop them an email. Connect digitally first. If you don't have a digital way to do it via a note and leave your phone number and a way for them to reach back to you, or just see them when they're out and about. But knocking in is very intrusive for us. you don't know what their sleep schedule is. You don't know what other projects they're on. You don't know if they're doing a live video chat to people. That would be a very bad time for somebody to knock on our door.
Other etiquette for meeting. When someone is just arrived to the campground and they're setting up, or when they're packing up to leave, is also a really bad time to approach them.
When they're dumping their tanks is not when
That's
they really want
just
to chat.
We have had people come up to us when we're dumping tanks or getting, hooking up the toad to the seems, and it never fails. When you're leaving a campground, you might have been there for a couple weeks, no one comes up to talk to you, but when you're getting ready, you're getting everything set up and ready to go.
It's our last chance. I got to go grab them.
And that's the worst time to approach an RVer, because you have whether it's physical or not, you've got a checklist of things that you have to do to be safely getting on the road.
Mm-hmm.
And when you interrupt someone from that process,
bad things can happen.
That could cause a problem down the road, and you're concentrating on getting everything ready to go. So we avoid. We don't like it when people approach us when we're setting up, tearing down, dumping tanks, or sleeping.
Yes. Okay, we have a question. So I'm not sure the question. It says, repeat from earlier. Another blogger said that more solar panels is not the answer, but more batteries will help the most. I'm not sure what the question is there. So batteries help if your problem is lack of storage capacity for power. Solar panels help if your problem is lack of generating capacity. So they answer two very different questions, and overall you have to design a unified system. We will be talking, probably do some dedicated chats on solar in the near future. We're deep into
starting our solar project.
Right.
So we launched the solar challenge on the blog earlier this week. Or was it last week?
Yeah, type nomadia.com/solar. We'll get you updated to all the posts on solar we're doing. We were kind of running around frantic just before doing this chat because we are paying a visit to AM Solar in Eugene, Oregon right now, and we're doing some head-to-head testing of thin panels versus glass panels. So we're diving deep into solar. There's a lot to say, a lot of questions that we're digging into, and there will probably be many, many dedicated chats. So I guess we're open to general questions now, but we're not going to go off on big solar tangents at the moment.
Right. So, see a couple comments. Any other questions that people have about RVing life on the road, technology, things like that? Just as long as they're not big topics that deserve their own. It's hard for us to get it down to a small bit. There we go. We should write a book on solar.
Talk to us about books later.
Yes, we just finished mobile internet, but yes, there are plans of letting Jack write the solar book, and we
will
contribute
to his book instead of the other way around, like the mobile internet book.
So that is actually kind of in it, but right now we're just trying to pick out what panels are going on our roof. We are not full-time, however, we're interested in and do RV often, but often we feel shunned because we're not full-time. I'm not sure who you're feeling shunned by.
I guess, there have been times that we've probably been coming across as feeling shunned, too. It's just, if you're, in my experience for myself, is I feel that feeling is usually me generating that feeling. It's not anybody else shunning me. It's me just feeling antisocial and not able to approach people and kind of hiding in my shell. But I know we've connected with lots of part-time RVers.
Right.
We've connected with weekenders sometimes.
There's no special badge of honor of being a full-timer or part-timer or seasonal or vacationer or RVer or an RVer or not. What's the most important thing is, are you happy? Are you living the life that brings you the greatest amount of joy? If you are, congratulations, you're successful at this life thing. There's no perfect answer. There's no right way. Some new full-timers, they can get all excited. Or anytime you approach anything new, you take on a new identity. It's kind of hard for your own enthusiasm to come in and feel inclusive of other people's choices. We're full-timers. That's what we talk about most. But, a lot of stuff applies to everybody who RVs.
Yeah.
But be yourself, be confident in yourself, and that's what other people reflect back. That's what I found anyway.
So we've got, I see from others that we need to just jump in and do it. There's no way to know otherwise. Is this completely true? I'm guessing that's hitting the road. I'm guessing going full-time.
Is that full-time, solar? It's really hard to track who said what. We only get this little tiny screen, so please, when you're asking a question, make sure you're giving us full context in your little snippet, because we really can't see the history of what else you've written. We are in the research phase of what to do to full-time in an RV. We're in our mid-40s and love to read your blog and website. Well, thank you.
Awesome.
I'm glad you found us.
Good luck with the research.
Yeah.
Do all the research you can, and then just trust your gut and don't overextend yourself, because you'll probably change your mind after the first year or two. It's like it's be flexible and dive in and have fun.
Right. What's your censored? You think the majority of full-timers are introverts or extroverts?
Probably not much different than the regular
Yeah,
population.
the spread is probably very similar to regular population. Some of us are introverts.
We know some ridiculous extroverts who are full-time RVers, and we know some ridiculously crazy super introverts who are full-time RVers.
We actually did a chat earlier this year. If you go check the archives at technomadic.com/video on introversion in RVing, where we talked about a lot of the ways to be, why we think RVing is great for introverts as well. It's a great way to travel and be extroverted and still have your shell to climb back into at the end of the day.
Right.
We're in our late 50s. I'm retired. Husband is not. We can do it. Blank is very scary. I don't know what censored is.
Yeah, the chat window blocks certain things for certain reasons, including links. And we don't have control over that.
All right. What criteria do you use to pick a place to stop with a group? Are there things that you look for in parks, etc., that might be more to accommodate a group, or is a phone call needed? We don't really travel in groups.
Yeah. We haven't done the large group thing.
Yeah. We're usually traveling with maybe one or two other RVers, so it's really not that big of an issue.
So the question is, do you have space for 2 rigs or 3 rigs? Is usually, and can we get them together if we want that?
If it's a first-come, first-served campground, we might go read RV park reviews and just see if anyone's mentioned what the likelihood is of that RV park filling up.
Because we don't want to end up someplace where one person gets in and then the others don't.
Right.
That's why it's nice to have one person call and make a reservation if you're going to go and actually reserve a spot. Comfortable miles per day.
Okay, when hopscotch caravanning, what is the most comfortable miles a day? That's an easy answer. Whatever is right for the people who are doing the caravanning.
And where it's kind of stops line up in some ways. It's
right. So you might have one member of your caravan who's comfortable doing 300 or 400 mile days. Well, they go do that. You might be more comfortable with 100-mile days. Well, then you might be making more stops before you catch track of it.
Rendezvous again after 3 or 4 days as people do their own different pace to go.
Yeah, don't be when you decide to caravan with some friends, just talk about what your default styles are, what you're comfortable with, and work out what works best for you. Let's see. The biggest challenge now is funding. I am an architect
for HP
and can work wherever there is a net connection.
Awesome.
Wife is a real estate broker, and we're trying to be creative in finding things for her. Yep,
that is definitely a challenge. It's a lot of options out there.
Lots of options, and it really comes down to following your passions and what you want to be doing.
No commercials on the iPhone. Yes, that is a tip we've heard before. We should have passed that on. Is for whatever reason, the iPad and iPhone and I think the Android clients for Ustream do not show commercials or do not show as many commercials as watching it on a desktop. So that is one way to avoid the commercial issue.
So we have a vintage. Someone asked. We have a vintage bus, but I keep hearing that some folks saying that certain parks don't allow RVs over 10 years old. Is this true ever? There are parks that have the 10-year rule. There are even parks that say no bus conversions.
Yes.
Number one, those sorts of parks tend to be resorts, and those aren't our style. We prefer public parks and other options.
Most of those have no rules like that. And those rules are usually for the benefit of the park management, so they have an excuse to throw out the old beaters. If you have an old conversion that doesn't look like it's old and falling apart, almost always you'll never hear a peep raised. And the other thing you can always do is, and we've done this before, is just ask in advance. Like, hey, the park has a 10-year rule. Here's a link to some pictures of our RV. Here's a link to our blog. Here's a link to, hey, it's geeked out and modern and technology-ized, and it's 53 years old, but
it's restored. So we kind of fall outside. The 10-year rule is more aimed to keep out the 20-year-old cheap RVs that might break down in their lot.
Yes, we know some RV parks that have suffered from having somebody who couldn't physically leave, and that turns into...
Yeah, and local tenancy laws may actually force them to have to keep that property, that RV there, for up to 3 months while they go through the eviction process.
Yeah, how do you evict somebody whose RV won't start?
So there are legitimate reasons why some places have the rule. We tend to fall outside of that just because we have a classic vintage bus.
Yeah.
It is well maintained. We can demonstrate with receipts that we keep up on maintenance. We've rebuilt the engine. The interior is done to very high quality standards. And once we usually send them pictures, maybe a video tour of the block. We've even had some resorts say, you guys are welcome. You're.
Yeah. I think we've only had once in 3 years with the bus, one park that the park manager
was okay
said,
with it. No, the
manager said, I would not have let this in here, but then the park owner's like, oh man, I love vintage buses. This is great. You can stay here all you want. So he kind of overrode the manager.
Yes. But yeah, we've really not run into it being a problem, and but then again, we haven't stayed a lot of places where that is a rule. So yeah. What are your plans for your bus after you've passed on? We're 40. If we both happen to pass on, well, Kiki gets it, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know.
She's been learning how to drive, and be afraid if that ever happens.
Let's see. Love the RV bus idea, but hesitant due to age and maintenance updating required. Leaning towards a Class B truck converted to a large fifth. Yeah. If you're not up for, if buses aren't a passion or something that you want to do, don't. Check our 3 years in a bus.
There are upsides and downsides to every type of RV, and depending on how much your budget is, how much you want to pay people to do things, how much you want to work on things yourself, how comfortable you are dealing with the unknown and figuring things out on your own. The more off the beaten path you are, the more comfortable you have to be beating your own path. And buses are definitely kind of send you that direction. There's a lot of great stuff that comes from having a bus. They're overall built wonderful. They're designed to go forever, but they do require some care and feeding and tenderness, and things can break and bad things can happen, and that can happen with any RV. But buses sometimes have things can break on a bigger and more dramatic scale.
So check our 3 years in a vintage bus post that we made back in June, celebrating the 3-year bus anniversary, and we went over a lot of our thoughts on buses versus not, and if it's for you or not.
How is the Mini Cooper working out? Any issues with flat towing it?
So far, not.
Oh, well, I guess we did drive down a long gravel road, and the fog lights got a little smashed.
Yeah, but that would have happened just driving on a gravel road.
Yeah.
I mean, we've
had being behind a bus, I think, it made that worse. But and our left headlight is turning black.
Oh yeah, well that's just the soot. It's right now very dirty from being towed behind a Detroit. We're looking forward to getting into Cape Blanco here in the next week and getting to a car wash and cleaning the Mini.
That's one of the downsides of a long cross-country caravan or just cross-country trip in general is we don't often get to stop and clean the toad. So the outside of the toad has been showing the miles.
Right. Well, when you're on a cross-country repositioning and you're moving every 2 to 5 days or so, which is about the pace we've been keeping for the last month or two, is you don't have a lot of time to stop and do life. You're making miles, you're keeping up on work, you're doing a little bit of sightseeing. In this case, we were caravanning with friends, so there's social time. We haven't had as much time to do things, as much house cleaning, as much grocery shopping, stocking. I feel like we've been kind of in the...
I don't think we can do any more grocery shopping physically.
Well, we just physically... We've now been to 2 Trader Joe's in the last week because we're stocking up for 2 months out at the Cape. And we're stocked up now. But for the last few months, I mean, we've been in little tiny towns with small grocery stores. And so, there's a lot of balance that has to go on.
Scroll down.
Yeah, please quit commenting on the commercials.
Outside our control, we don't even know when one is running, so I'm sorry.
Yes. What kind of trouble have you heard that truck camp owners have had? We don't think we've talked to many.
I've met a few. I hung out with one before I knew you, actually. And I've not heard any particular troubles other than truck campers have some. They're really great. The ones that are well built are great for going out into remote boonies. If you got a 4x4 truck, you can get your camper out into some crazy awesome places. But I've got no real specifics on. Or I guess are you referring to truck campers having RV parks that don't like them? Because
I mean, there are some RV parks that are motorhome only. There's some that exclude fifth wheels or trailers.
Only.
There's some that are Airstream only.
Or aluminum only.
Different RV parks. I mean, when you look at an RV park and you're choosing one, they're like homeowners associations. They're like neighborhoods. If you want to live in an apartment and have the expenses and maintenance of apartment, well, you're not going to be living in a residential McMansion neighborhood,
yes.
Unless you're renting someone's like mother-in-law suite or something like that. Choosing an RV park is much like choosing a neighborhood to live in. If you want a McMansion, you're probably not going to build it in a downtown urban area with small row houses. It's just picking an RV. RV park owners have every right to the extent of the law to say this is what the type of RV park that we're building.
And that brings a lot of preference to the public parks, which they're open to the public, and it's a nice mixed vibe. I find I enjoy the parks the most that have things ranging from $1 million Prevost Class A's down to things that would be lucky to sell for $200 dinky little trailers. Mm-hmm. I love diversity in parks. Those are my favorite kind of parks, is diverse communities, and that's kind of what we seek out.
All right. Are there any other questions before we wrap this up? This is your last call for questions. And while we're waiting for if there's any more questions coming up, I just want to remind you that if you would like reminders of when we do these video chats, we do them about monthly. It varies on when we have time.
Next one will be from Cape Blanco.
More than likely. When we do these chats, we do announce them. You can go to technomadia.com/video, and you can join our email list to get notifications when we book these. They are about monthly. Any other announcements?
No.
Yeah, check out our new book, the Mobile Internet Handbook, which we just got launched officially this morning, available for Kindle and iBooks and PDF. It is 186 pages talking about mobile internet and everything you need to know to keep online as you go. And you can get it at rvmobileinternet.com is where the new book is at. Someone says, do you make use of local farmers markets?
Actually, we got two other questions.
Oh, okay.
I like IPAs too. Which is your favorite IPA? Oh, my
we got a
gosh.
one.
Yeah. Right now I'm drinking Worthy Brewing Company's Worthy IPA from Bend, Oregon, and it's quite tasty. I'm loving finding IPAs in cans. Still, I think one of the best I've ever had is from the Prohibition Brewery in San Francisco. Oh gosh, it's slipping my mind, but it was a white can with people in zoot suits on the outside of it.
Oh, that's the Ska Brewery one.
Ska Brewery in San Francisco? No.
Oh, no. Oh, you're up at 21st Amendment.
21st Amendment, yes, yeah. 21st Amendment. Absolutely, their IPA was one of the best I've ever had, and it was in a can, and it was fabulous. But God, there's so many good IPAs out there; it's hard to even rank them. Right,
someone says, does more than 2 caravanners seem to complicate coordination? Anytime you add more people, anytime you're herding more cats, it makes the complications more.
Yeah, it helps then to just make it even more informal. It's like, you don't always have to have all 3 or all 4 people coming together. We've had some very, very informal, like, hey, you're going to be in this city, we're going to aim for the same place, let us know what park you're at, is it good, can you get us a spot next to you? And, oh, hey, we've got some friends who are joining us now, and they're now going off their own separate direction, and gets very loosey-goosey, and that actually feels great.
Right, keeps everyone independent, which is what we like. Do you make use of local farmers markets? If so, are you able to find them everywhere? Farmers markets are not everywhere. They're also not all the time.
Yeah.
The problem
the timing is the trickiest thing.
Farmers markets are usually only held one day a week, a lot of them in some towns, most towns that we go through, and they don't always coordinate with the day of the week that we're coming through town.
With us. And my biggest issue with farmers markets is some farmers have some sort of issue with getting up early in the morning, and the farmers markets are cleaning up and done by noon, and I'm like, no, seriously, farmers, sleep in, enjoy the morning, bring your stuff out, and let's just have a nice afternoon farmers market. There are not a lot of those around.
Okay, next question was, in all of your travels, how many parks and campgrounds have you stayed in, and do you keep records of them?
733.5.
I don't know. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but we do keep a Google Calendar where we've recorded where we've spent every single night.
Yeah, that goes back to almost the
from day one. Yeah. And we leave RV park reviews on RVparking.com, so there is a list of them there, the ones that they have in their database. And I do write a travel log post that covers from day one. So all the parks that we've ever stayed at are in the blog. That's more for our record than anything else.
What portion of your time do you spend earning your money versus traveling?
Way too much earning money lately.
Yeah, sometimes we take on big projects, and sometimes we put our projects, sometimes we have our projects just in maintenance mode, and it's really hard to set a percentage because it just varies from week to week and month to month.
Right, but pretty much since last November when we took on our village project, and then we wrote a new app, U.S. Public Lands, and then the book just launched. So we've been pretty much in back-to-back major project mode since November, and we're honestly very tired.
And now we're going to get to this grueling lighthouse job where we got to carry the lamp oil all the way up to the top and trim the wicks. And we give tours.
We're giving tours 17 hours a week, and we're hoping that the book will be launched and we'll be able to keep up with our mobile internet aficionados with news and some broadcasts and things like that. Yeah. And get to a more relaxed pace of life, which is what we set out to do. So we're ready for a slower pace of work.
Speaking of broadcasting, will you be broadcasting while at the lighthouse? I think we were able to get bandwidth to do something like this last year. So
yes, we're hoping with our new boosting gear that we're going to be able to do broadcasts from the lighthouse. We did do one. We did do a tour of the lighthouse last year.
We co-hosted with
Nita and Paul of Wheeling It, and that is available on the blog if you go search for Cape Blanco. We'll probably be doing a post when we get there linking to our past post from last year. I don't think we'll be doing that one again because, repeating things isn't fun. Yeah. But we'll probably be doing some broadcasts from the lighthouse. We'll be...
Maybe we'll go whale riding or something and broadcast live from the back of a whale. That'd be fun. Is our village growing fast and doing well?
We're not involved with the day-to-day of our village anymore. We were on the launch team.
But it is
moments
away from hitting 10,000 members. So I think the 10,000th member gets a free membership for life. They're free for everyone, but 10,000 is a big milestone. It's a big round number, and it is. I think based on the current pace of growth, it is days away. I think the idea is to have like our village 10,000 celebrations and such. So we kind of had our village gathering this past weekend. 30-something people came out, and we're getting close. And our village as a tool, we find it fabulous. As a vision, we love the vision for our village. And we are cheering them on as much as we can.
Yes. So go join. Get your free account. Maybe it'll be number 10,000.
Number 10,000.
Anyway, we're going to call it an evening for now. Thank you for joining us for a live video chat. And hopefully we'll see you at next month. And see you around. Thank you for joining us.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
See you.